My name's Matt Donato. I'm the Senior Associate Director for Alumni Career Services in Alumni Relations and Development. I welcome you all to our presentation today, Career Services 101, which is maybe a little more expansive than it will actually be. It sounds more expansive than it will actually be. But I really appreciate all of you being here and thinking about how to support both alumni and, to some extent, students. Obviously, Marta's here from CAPS. With career activities and career programming. I'm going to sit because I have the presentation here on the laptop, and I'm going to take you to a few different sites off the presentation that might be interesting or useful to you. But I really would prefer this to be more of a conversation than me sort of presenting and telling you lots of stuff. I want to hear your feedback. I think I'll readily acknowledge that we have lots of things we can improve on the career services side, both for alumni and lots of opportunity to help on career services for students. So I really want to hear your feedback. I was talking with David here in the front about some issues regarding how alumni apply to jobs at the university. And if you want to sort of talk about that during the presentation, we can chat about that a little bit too. But I really need to hear things from all of you about ways that we can make our programs better. And some of the issues I know about, some of the issues I don't know about, and I can tell you the ones that we know about we're working to address, and the ones we don't know about, I want you to tell me about. So this is a very brief presentation. In fact, I could take you through the presentation very quickly. I want to focus on two things today. One is jobs, and one is networking, and that's the presentation. So I'm going to take a step back really quickly. And, I think my role at the university is to talk with alumni and support alumni with a variety of career services. And that includes networking, professional networking, ways to keep alumni networked with each other, job opportunities, which we'll talk about in a second here, and professional development, sort of career skill development. And we do that in a variety of different ways, but my office is relatively new. I've been at the university for 7 years, but my Alumni Career Services office has really been around since 2008. And so my role was created to really provide service to the entire alumni community in a way that we've never done before. So offices like CAPS, like the Booth School, the law school, the other professional schools, those career offices have provided some level of career counseling and career resources for alumni. But as Marta in the room will tell you from CAPS, and as my colleagues at Booth and Law will tell you, most of the time they're focused on students, and that's just the nature of the cycle of most years where students are the biggest population on campus and they usually take the most time, and those are what those offices specialize in, is helping students get jobs, helping students think about their career path. And so we've never really had services dedicated to alumni, and through a number of alumni surveys that we've done over the years, we saw that alumni really want career services. In fact, our most recent alumni service shows that that need is even more urgent than ever, particularly given the economy. Yeah, David.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
So is there, and if this doesn't exist, could this be considered, is there some way to correlate alumni in the university that use or have been successful with using career services and the level of contribution, or the time and money that they provide?
So the question is, can you correlate alumni that have been helped or have used career services with some measure of philanthropy or giving to the university? Yes. Or volunteering, which we're all here to talk about today.
Social capital, right? Financial capital or social capital?
The answer to that is yes. And we're starting to be able to do that, mostly because we've been better at tracking data over the past couple of years. So I can tell you the hundreds of alumni that my office has spoken to and done career advising with. And CAPS keeps pretty detailed records of that as well, as I know the Booth School does. And we could potentially put that sort of analysis on the table. We could say, here's all the people that we've talked to, here's all the people that we've directly interacted with, and here's the level of their giving or the level of their volunteerism or engagement with the university. We can definitely do that. We've started to do that, not so much on the giving side, more on the engagement side, but that's certainly an analysis that I'm really, really interested in. That's something that I've said for a long time. When my office was created, we need to be doing this. We need to be talking to our colleagues over in the rest of alumni relations and development to say, you know, we're trying to help people. We're trying to help people to get jobs. We're trying to help them improve their career skills. And it would be great. We need to be able to measure how much more engaged those alumni are because we're providing this service. Otherwise, it's not worth it for us to provide the service in some way. I mean, it's worth it because I think we should do it. We should help our alumni. But we also want to make sure that it's fitting in with the mission of our organization, which is to engage and get more alumni related to the university.
Yeah, I mean, just one thought that I've talked to, I think, I know a lot of alumni. I'm a legacy of the school, so it seems that when alumni can make more money, they're more willing to contribute greater amounts.
Okay, well, let's not let's not lie. I mean, yeah, that's certainly what we want ultimately,
I think a great message is look at Andy Alper. I met my wife at Pierce. I mentioned it yesterday. I'm an undergrad here. I went to, I started at a professional school. I switched to the B school. I love the University of Chicago, and yet I'm going to admit, guys, I struggled to try to get my nephew to apply here when he had two uncles, two aunts who also are a living alumni. And part of it was because he said that career services weren't as strong for after he's a graduate. And part of what he saw was, and he's a bright kid, he saw the financial metrics, just like, look, I could go somewhere else and get a better position job in 5 years after I graduate, and that, and I saw what he was talking about. I'm also speaking of someone who's constantly called for contributions.
Well, here's
and I really see that. I see alumni when they are appreciative, they do a lot of money.
Well, here's the opportunity we have with Alumni Career Services, and we're frankly not there yet with Alumni Career Services. I mean, I think we're doing good work. I think we're headed in the right direction, but we have a lot more that we can do, and I sort of, in some ways, use the Booth School Alumni Career Services as a model for where we'd like to take our program. Not necessarily exactly how they're structured, but in some ways the level of service that they're able to provide to Booth alumni. And when I came into the job for Alumni Career Services, what I really saw was, and I worked at CAPS with Barda and others, and I think the student experience has changed a lot on campus in the past decade or more. And CAPS has changed a lot. So I think, and I'll just talk specifically about the undergrad and the grad student side, there's this high level of service that students get from CAPS that they didn't get even when, even in the late 90s, early, 2000s. The service has been ramped up incredibly. I mean, CAPS has lots of internship programs, an externship program, which we'll talk about, the Chicago Careers in pre-professional development programs. So on campus, there's this huge level of support around careers for students. Before my office was created, that level of service kind of fell off. Now, nothing against CAPS, but again, they're more focused on students. And so my goal is to make sure that that level of service stays at least level or doesn't fall off a cliff, as I think some people might have perceived it to in the past. And so, we really need to, and I think the biggest two things we can do are jobs and networking. Those are the two biggest areas when I talk with alumni, do career advising with alumni, they're most interested. How can I be a better networker, and how can I connect, with the university or with other alumni for jobs? So I'll talk a little bit about some of the resources that we have here, but I really want to hear from all of you what you'd like to see us do. And you were giving me some input on alumni applying to the university in terms of jobs. That's a small piece of it, but resources that you guys know of or things that you'd like to see us do with jobs and networking, tell me. So I'll start with jobs. I think this is something that's been difficult over the past couple of years. I think the economy is starting to come back a little bit. Apparently we've been out of the recession for more than a year now, so you would think that it would come back, although I don't know that that's exactly true. So we've really struggled as a university with our job board. I've been pushing for an alumni sharing job board, and by that I mean something that's less employer to alumni and more alumni to alumni. I really want alumni to say, listen, I work in an organization. I want to see other University of Chicago alumni here. I want there to be, I want to help my fellow, U of C alumni get into this organization and have opportunities. So we tried something on our website. It's still up on the website. It should be taken down soon. It just wasn't an effective job board. It was not an effective job board. It was something where my vision for it was for alumni, for you, Katrina, to be able to go on there whenever you wanted and say, hey, I know a colleague in New York is hiring. I'm going to post that job here for other alumni. Or, hey, I'm hiring. I'm going to try to hire U of C alumni. I'm going to post that job there. It was never that easy. It was always something where you would have to send it to me or someone on my team, and we would have to sort of go through and get the job posted. We'd have to.
Was that like a technological?
It was a technological problem, and it just wasn't efficient. It was never as easy as we wanted it.
Let me ask,
Yeah.
prior to your position coming in, it was also a process. I really lived through that. I was in a Fortune 500, and we didn't hire people, didn't want to exclusively go to booth.
Sure,
so
sure.
I did send it in, and it was just a timing issue, just the whole process.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, frankly, the job board, I mean, it took me close to a half hour to post each individual job. So you can imagine, it just wasn't feasible to keep doing that.
So did you have a lot of people sending you information about positions?
It's only started to come back. So that's really the good news is and I'm really speaking over the past 2 months, I've started to see more traffic from employers and from alumni wanting to post jobs, which is good. It's sort of interesting to see the momentum start to build again on the job side. And I'm literally talking since probably July, August, I've started to get 2-3 calls a week for alumni from alumni and from employers that want to recruit our alumni, which is good news. And I don't know, Marta, if you have other information about employers that have been posting jobs for alumni at CAPS, certainly feel free to share.
So our experience has, I think, been a little more positive than your experience,
Yeah.
because we do have a streamlined system in place, and we do have Chicago Career Connection, which is our job board,
Which we'll show here.
is for
Employers.
entry-level positions for students who are getting ready to graduate, as well as our internships. But we do have alumni contact us who say we have opportunities for an alum who is 5 years out or 10 years out, and we're able to post those on that board as well. I think part of it is also a marketing issue, so that alumni are aware of that resource exists.
Yeah.
You do need a CNET ID to log into it. So for an alum who has been out for 10 or 15 years and doesn't remember their CNET or doesn't have a CNET, there is that extra step where they need to get that access. But once they're in the system, they're able to search for opportunities.
So what was my solution to say, okay, we can't have this job board anymore that doesn't work? What we do have, and what I've seen other universities, particularly our neighbors to the north, Northwestern, they actually run their alumni job board through their LinkedIn group. They have an alumni LinkedIn group that's pretty robust, and frankly, so do we, which we need to leverage. We need to use that more. So I made a decision in the last week that we would move our alumni job board off of, it's still going to be accessible through our Alumni and Friends web community, but it's going to be housed on our LinkedIn group. And what that will do is enable you, you'll still have to join the LinkedIn group in order to post a job, but once you're on the group, it's very easy to post positions. It's very easy to get your positions out. And how many of you are members of our LinkedIn group? Of our University of Chicago alumni LinkedIn group. Okay, Dave. So about half of you, which is good. You might be. I can look you up right now, Katrina. I can see if you're in here. So this is our LinkedIn group, our University of Chicago alumni LinkedIn group. We have, I believe, about 75, maybe 7,500 members. Let's take a quick look to see if, 73, so almost 7,300 members of the group. And it's growing every day. I probably get like 3 or 4 requests a day to join the group, in some cases more.
People get it all the time? Or?
Well, it's an extremely active group, which I've been wrangling with the past 3 weeks. So if any of you have followed the LinkedIn group, there have been a lot of off career topic discussions on the group in recent weeks. And so the history of this group is it was started by an alumnus named Peter Lewis probably 2 or 3 years ago. He was not affiliated, obviously, directly with the university, but he's an alumnus, and he wanted to start a group. And apparently people flocked to his group as the main alumni group, which was great. But as it grew to 6,000 and 7,000 members, he just didn't have time to administer the group anymore. So he came to our team, to the Alumni Career Services team, and said, can you guys take this over? And we were happy to do it. We'd been part of the group, members of the group, but we were happy to take it over. And so, I've had some staff departure. So the person that was managing this group for me left the university, and I think since she left, the group was getting a little out of hand. So I've really put my foot down on some of the group discussions in recent weeks. What you'll see is a lot of postings from me. I actually have changed some of the group rules as well. So if you're interested in seeing what the group rules are, you can go over here, and there's a very robust set of rules. I really want this to be a good networking and career focused forum for people to talk about career topics, to post jobs, and to sort of not be off topic.
Was it really necessary?
Was it really necessary for what? To have the rules? Oh, it was definitely necessary. Yeah.
So
yeah, Dave.
I've been, I was one of the first users of LinkedIn,
Okay.
and I'm in the technology industry.
Yeah.
And I was one of the first people that kind of flocked to this site.
Yeah.
What I just want to know is, I think it's great, but 2 things.
Yeah.
One, what can we do to help you imagine this? And secondly, how can you at some point say that this is the official University of Chicago sanctioned site?
Oh, it already is the official. It is the official University of Chicago sanctioned site.
I get that, but
yeah.
But on the logo, there are other logos that look similar, but they're not necessarily. I know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And how can you kind of convey it? This is the one that's actually run by the university.
Yeah, it's a little difficult. I mean, we could go in and tell all the groups that are using our logo, unless you're officially affiliated with us, not to do that. I don't think that's the right thing to do.
If you get contacted LinkedIn,
but
I've got a contact for you that can help you with that.
Okay.
But my point is that, again.
Well, we should talk. Let's talk offline about that. Yeah.
But it's just I belong to several University of Chicago groups, and they all kind of look official.
Well, so
but I know this is the official one.
yeah.
And I'm part
Well, there's really 3 big University of Chicago groups. There's this group, which is the big alumni group. There's the Booth School group, which is actually even larger than this. I think they have about 8,000 members. And there's actually an alumni career services group that we started before we were owners of this group. So that group has about 1,000 members in it. And I'm contemplating taking that group and merging it with this group, just so we have a little less balkanization of all of our groups. But yeah, this is the official group. One thing that may solve this actually is we're actually going through a rebranding process, and we will have new official University of Chicago alumni logos. And so as those roll out, this will be one of the few groups, or the only group, that really has the official U of C logo, UChicago logo as we're going to call it. So that may solve some of the issues in terms of branding, but I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about that offline.
By the way, that was
Yeah.
my question to Andy Alper yesterday. Was
The branding question, yeah.
Competition.
So this is our new job board. I mean, not new, it's been around for a while. But starting literally on Monday, this is where all the jobs that come through my office will be posted from alumni and from employers. We'll also direct employers to Chicago Career Connection, which I'll take you through in a moment. Yeah. So these are some jobs that have been posted in the past week. And I've also posted jobs in the past. Unfortunately, I think I have to... Sorry, the screen is a little small here. Did you have a question, Tom?
How does this map up with camps? I mean, is there one place to look if you're an alum and you're looking for a job?
Well, I'd say no. I view this as primarily the alumni to alumni job sharing board. So the issue, and this isn't really an issue, but with CAPS, in order to post a job on Chicago Career Connection, you need to register as an employer. So you have to have your CNET ID, and then you register as an employer. So you'd have to say, you know, hey, I'm Tom Berg. You'd have to create a company name for yourself and address, and you'd have to go through the registration process to get a username and password for Chicago Career Connection. If you're an alum that wants to just post a job to another alum, it's kind of a cumbersome process to go through. So what I would say is if you're looking for jobs from other alumni or from some employers, you'd want to go to the Alumni Job Sharing Board. If you're looking just for jobs from employers that may or may not have an alumni connection, you would go to Chicago Career Connection. I mean, would you say that's right, Marta? I mean, you manage Chicago Career Connection as a job board.
We recognize this as not being an ideal situation because if you're an alumni job seeker, you would prefer to go to one particular site. But in its current format,
Yeah.
you know, it's very easy for an alum to say to Matt, I just heard about this opening in my office, can you throw it on the job board? And then what happens is we're in very close contact. We can then reach out to the employer, in many cases the HR contact, and find out, okay, we know that there's this one opening available, what else is out there?
Yeah. I mean, so really, I mean, you have to, if you want to join the LinkedIn group, you have to get approval from me to join, so I approve members every day. Did you just, let me see if you're in the group. I didn't check. Let me see.
Don't put them on the spot like that, Katrina.
Let me see if you're,
Make sure you pass the criteria.
I'm going to search just for you, Katrina.
You may not be, we'll talk about
Because you have to put the request in to join.
delete it, so I don't know if I'm.
You're not in here, Katrina.
You didn't request to join.
Okay, I'll.
I can even invite you. How about that? All done.
If I could add one point to your question.
Go ahead, Mike.
Matt started this job board last year as a more informal way to exchange information about jobs that are out there without having to go through the rigor of registering with the university and actually being the person offering the job. For example, last year I gave Matt some jobs from one investment bank. I had nothing to do with it. They sent me the job posting. I just gave it to Matt. They put it up there, and I had nothing to do with it. I'm not responsible for the hiring, for any, I have nothing to do with it. It's just more information sharing for an alum who wants to learn about potential opportunities.
Well, again, the only thing that goes back to is Marta's point that in addition to the technology piece of it, the other thing that's really important in terms of use of it is marketing or people being aware of it, people thinking. The first thing you go to is you see when you have a job opening or when you're looking for a job. And that mindset's not there. In my mind, if you had an easier, a single source, and you were able to pitch like crazy and say this is the way to go, it makes it easier to do that marketing piece.
I'm thinking we do need to really let our club member, people in clubs, alumni know whenever we have a postcard or a blast emails to let them know there's a.
Well, this is something, this is something that, this is something that we're working on. This is a Board of Governors project that I'm working on with the subcommittee on the board that I manage to basically put together, I don't want to call them handbooks, and Max will sort of spank me if I call them handbooks, but well, maybe not. But we are going to put together these resources for clubs, and in fact, what we've done over the past year is within each regional club in sort of our bigger cities, and we're sort of drilling down into some of our smaller cities as well. We've engaged volunteers who focus on careers. We call them career chairs. And so those people in the regional clubs are the point people that I go to or that CAPS can go to say, we need help recruiting internships from your region, or we want to put together a career event, or we want you to get the word out about job postings. And they can be the people that do that for us out in our cities. Michael?
So, for example, I'm the career chair in Dallas Fort Worth area. Matt recruited me to do that last year.
But you volunteered, I think.
I fell into it. And I organized a career month event last November.
We're having one this month.
And what Matt he gave me an arsenal of materials, and it was a branding opportunity for me at the beginning of the career month event to advertise the Alumni Job Board as well as Chicago Career Connection. And Martha has a lot of brochures in the Chicago Career Connection, and Matt gave me some stuff on the job board. So that was the communication effort at the grassroots
hopefully having I hope we talk a little about this too, that we're having a career event November 7th in the Cleveland area, Northeast Ohio. We've done some just informal networking, but this is our first formal career event, and I'm hoping that we plan to do another in the spring, and we want to do at least 2 a year, but at those we can market, and then as we market those, we can market this when we're marketing.
Sure.
It was a perfect opportunity to address the point Tom just made. How do we make alumni aware of these 2 entry points to jobs?
Yeah, Katrina.
I was just talking with the guy who was in high school in that planning session. He graduated in 1982, lives here in Chicago. In fact, I thought he was going to be in this session, but he answered on to something else. But he's a consultant, and he works in like database management or something here in Chicago. And his question was, he would like to be in contact with other alumni in similar consulting deal in Chicago who are kind of at the same level peer-wise for networking and particularly for reaching out to younger alumni and creating a growing network of people here in the Chicago area. Is there a way he can do that?
Yes and no. So that sounds a lot like our Chicago Affinity Groups, which are our professional and sort of identity networks of alumni.
Affinity group that would.
We don't currently, but we may have a solution for that in the near future. So I should talk to you a little bit more about that specific instance. But as we roll out some new technology that should help those alumni organize themselves, it may not be something that we can devote a lot of staff resources to yet. So if it's a specialized, right? Exactly. Yeah.
People can do a lot on their.
And that's that's what I mean is we may not be able to devote staff resources to getting that group, really active. But if they want to sort of work on their own, if this alum wants to put some effort in on his own time, we could potentially create a web space for him to do that, and give him some basic tools to let him manage that.
What I'm looking for is just any information you have about other alumni.
Yeah.
In his.
And that's something that that sort of special project is something that we could make time for down the road. We'd have to build it into other things we're doing, but we could certainly make time if he was interested in really building something from the ground up.
Booth has.
Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
Booth has what they call brown.
Yes.
That sounds like something that.
And some of the roundtables are more active than others. Like the financial services. Yeah.
But I don't know if he's a booth alum.
You don't have to be a booth alum. Yeah, the booth roundtables are open to all alumni. They're not marketed necessarily to all alumni, but they are open to all alumni.
That's important to know.
Yep. No, and that's something that, because I do talk to my booth colleagues frequently, I've learned that. And so we need to start, for the ones that are active anyway, we need to make sure that alumni know about it.
Yeah, and one of the things that was interesting is I actually helped found a roundtable.
Okay.
And
Which one did you found?
Well, it was an option consulting deal. We closed it. But at the time it was called the Business Roundtable.
Oh, okay.
And what we always said is we always call alumni and friends. Now, the problem is that
That's the name of our website. There you go.
only comes out to the booth people because that's what the system's limitation is.
Yeah.
You can email it to a certain cohort.
Yeah.
But what I've done is I always spread it to friends and colleagues that had interest in their Chicago, what they had to say, but were not part of the community, but really respected and liked the community and the alumni.
Yeah, we've done a bad job from the university side in terms of coordinating our messages, right? So we should know, everyone should know that the booth roundtables are open to all alumni. That should be going out on all of our communications, but it doesn't. So that's why, as I've thought about alumni career services, and since CAPS and the Booth School and the law school do offer special services to their alumni, in my mind, what I'm hoping that I can push my team towards is to be the first stop for alumni. So if you're an alum from any part of the university and you want to have career advising or network with other alumni, you come to us first. come to, hopefully we could have a better web presence. But we want to be the first stop. And then if you need something specific that you can only get from Booth, or that there are some resources that are available only to you as a Booth alum, then we'll triage you and push you over there. And Booth, I've talked to the colleagues at Booth, and they say that's what we want. And the alumni want that too. So if we can sort of have one catch-all service, whether it's through our website or through our phone number or whatever, you come to us first, and then we'll push you to where you need to be, or we'll give you the service that you need, as soon as we can. But that's sort of what I'm pushing us towards, and I think we're getting closer to that. There is still some work, though, to do in terms of how we manage our resources. Chris?
Just to add to the audience, the alumni audience, I think you mentioned 15 years out alumni might be interested in changing careers.
Yeah.
I would propose, as a member of the class of 1963, people make career changes in their 40s and in their 50s, and certainly even at retirement.
Yeah.
I would also suggest, because these were also folks who are beginning to think about legacies, it's very important for a university to consider this as a potential of providing both services, but also selfishly as contributors who are now linked backwards, or the link is strengthened as they're nearing the end of their work lives, or the end of their lives. All the university, because they will. If you can reach them as well. I worry a little bit about the focus on, for that population on the technology, because there are lots of smart people who have never embraced it and are still resisting it, and yet it would seem to me also a point where the university can perhaps reach out in a different way to the alumni.
That's a great point.
A little more conversant and comfortable with technology. Just kind of an extra step in kind of linking the university and its concern for its alumni wherever they are in their work lives.
I think that's a really good point. And I do talk to a fair number of alumni who aren't young, who aren't mid-career, maybe later career alumni. I do talk to a lot of alumni, and we don't. They're being pushed out of the job market in some ways, and I'll even say they're being pushed out of the networking market, right? Because they don't. So we need to really focus on some of those resources in terms of how we train alumni, how we keep them engaged, how we allow them to network. I mean, we have to use technology. There's no way around it. That's the only thing that helps us leverage our limited resources is the technology. But
and what I'm suggesting is that the university should think about helping alumni
I agree.
We have these professional affinity groups in New York too, including this bio-life science that I attended now two of their evening things, which are like really fabulous events. The first one, they had the networking afterwards, and they ended up flipping it. So now
networking first,
you have like the networking opportunity, and then you have the panel discussion about whatever topic they're doing. But they have been attracting alumni from all over, not just bio-life sciences people, but people with MBAs who are doing investment in companies and lawyers and consulting alumni. It's really hugely broad. Do you have the same kind of thing going on in Chicago? And is there a way that you're able to put a career office piece to that somehow?
Well, yes. I mean, the short answer is yes, and the long answer is a lot more complicated.
Right.
But I mean, we do. So So the Bio Life Sciences group is one of our Chicago Affinity Groups, and they do have sort of local chapters in New York, and they also have a local chapter in Boston. We have some alumni here in Chicago that are interested in starting a chapter. We have. Well, we could talk about that. Again, it comes down to how many resources do we have to support these groups and really help them flourish and be sustainable. Well, but a lot of those programs were seeded by the staff.
Right. No, I
so
understand that.
to get them to the point where they can do that, it does require an investment of staff resources. So that's but we can talk more about that. But what I would say is what we're doing and what we've done is try to build momentum around career events. I was talking with Karen Kerr on our board yesterday about our Career Month events. So in November, throughout the month of November, around the country, we're going to be doing a series of career events, to really engage alumni everywhere around networking and around specific career topics. We did this last year. It's branded as Career Month because November is National Career Month. And, we did it to sort of start the conversation around careers. We're doing it similar to how we did it last year. There's not a lot of change in terms of how we've done it. I mean, we're doing panel discussions, we're doing lectures, we're really trying to engage alumni. But there's a lot of room for innovation. Now that we've sort of created the program and now that we've created affinity groups, I think we've gotten alumni excited, we've gotten volunteers engaged with helping us. Now it's what do we do next to sort of keep people interested? How do we change up some of our programming? How do we target programming? So
Can we get some coverage for what's going on in the magazine?
yeah, we have advertised. We did advertise Career Month in the magazine e-newsletter, but an article. Yeah.
Coverage about what the office is doing for alumni.
Yeah. I'd like that. I've asked for it. It hasn't happened yet.
Okay, so is that an idea that we as the alumni,
Yeah.
who are potential or current
Yeah.
contributors, can we go and request, this is what we want in the magazine?
Yeah,
Is that something you need from us?
if you go and write to the magazine and say we want more highlights about career activities, I have a feeling my phone will ring, right?
I'll commit this week.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. This is good.
Everyone, I'll write the email for you and say,
All right.
this is what we want, but
No,
what?
not to the magazine.
To
the magazine, yeah, to the magazine.
But if that's what it takes, I think that's something I'd like to hear is what you need from us.
Yeah.
Because your success in this helps with what we're doing with ourselves as individuals and as a community, and for me personally, I like my future community because I've already, I lost one nephew who didn't come here, and now looking at 3 nieces who they're not even in high school yet, but I'm already talking with them, just like my step grandmother did with me about coming here.
Right.
And so to me, it's important.
Yeah.
Getting that message out.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And the magazine likes to write things that alumni are interested in. So if you're interested in careers, I'm sure that they will want to write about it. They're generally interested. I mean, so Tom Berg, one of our alumni, is here who works on the UC PIP program, and he can tell you it was a challenge getting. UC PIP is our University of Chicago Public Interest program, which go ask Tom about it. He'll sell you on it in about 2 minutes. But it was a challenge getting some space in the magazine about that program. We ultimately did get some space. But they really want to drive stuff that they think alumni are interested in. And if you tell them you're interested in careers, I guarantee that there will be a career article or something focused on careers. I don't know before the end of the year, but very soon. Yeah.
You could almost even see them doing a series, or I don't know, or having it be a bigger topic, because this is a topic of the moment. I mean, with the economy as it is, like with the issue of people getting pushed out of even of their job or the networking market. I mean, there's all kinds of angles through which they could do an article, and then they could publicize what the colleges, what the university is trying to do. Yeah. Right.
Right. So just not that we're running out of time or anything, because we have 5 more minutes or so. And I'm not, my intention wasn't to really go through all of this. I wanted to put this up as conversation starters, and I really appreciate everyone sort of giving me thoughts and feedback. This has been great. I mean, just to mention it again, LinkedIn is where if you're an alum and you want to share a job with another alum, join the group, post a job. It goes up within 2 seconds. Chicago Career Connection, which I do want to take people to because it is how employers. So if you work at a company and you want to influence your HR people to post jobs at the university, you can send them here, and they can sign in as an employer here. This is the CAPS page, the link. And what I'll do is I'll also send this presentation out so that people can take a look at it. This wasn't able to be put on the zip drive, but you can sign in as an employer, which I have my own sort of shadow employer account. Don't yell at me, Marta, for doing that. I'm unfortunately not going to hire anyone yet. Yeah, sorry. What was my password? So this is sort of, if you're an employer or you want to get your HR department on here, they can sign in, they create an account, they sign in, and then you can post jobs. You can do this, post jobs to undergraduate students, you can post jobs to alumni. You can, sort of indicate what the type of job is, and you can, I believe, indicate, I haven't looked at this in a while, so I apologize, but I believe you can indicate if you want your job open to alumni, right? Only. So if you are only interested in hiring alumni, you can indicate that. And then alumni can search on that when they go into the site and say, filter out all the student opportunities and only give me stuff that's for me, which is a new feature that we didn't have in our old job posting site, which is nice.
And we talked about this as being cumbersome. It's really not, as you can see. The cumbersome part is knowing to go to the site and creating the account. Once an employer or an alumnus or alumna is in there, it's really just a matter of pasting the job search information and checking off boxes. So part of it too is education and getting individuals in there.
Marta, I've been a long-time user of this, and so what I'd like to just add is I get feeds, so I just select what I want for alerts, and then I just get those in my email.
Oh, neat.
And so I get exactly what I want. If I'm interested in a particular group, not just for myself, but for someone else, I'll get the feed and I'll forward it to someone.
That's great. That's great. Just really quickly too, Booth does have its own job posting site, and it's called Global Talent Solutions. So if you're an employer or an alum and you want to post jobs specifically to Booth alumni, you can go there. The law school also has a job board that's on the same platform as CAPS. I believe you still have to create your own account on they're different accounts, right? Like if you create an account with CAPS, it doesn't carry over to the law school. So you would have, if you want to post jobs at the law school, you'd have to create a different account, unfortunately. I also put a link in for the Chicago Public Interest Program. Again, you can visit the website for UCPIP to find out how to provide a public interest, public service job for a student through our program, which is based in Chicago. But again, talk to Tom. He'll talk your ear off for a few minutes. And then obviously jobs, not full-time jobs, but internships and externships for students, particularly undergrad students, are extremely important, and Marta can answer questions about that. There's also a table outside if you're interested in providing an internship or an externship, and these are just links to the CAP site for that. And then networking, we've talked a little bit about LinkedIn and a little bit about the career events. So we do have, I don't want to click on that because it's just gone up. I think we're actually a featured event now. Yes, our Career Month events. Ooh, that's great. I'll have to ask them about that. But we do have Career Month, should be up on the website. This is one of the events for Career Month in Los Angeles. Derek Okada, who's here today, has been the point person on that. But we'll have all of our Career Month events around the country up on the site. You can register for them. Again, this is a great opportunity to do some in-person networking and to sort of hear about specific career topics that are going to be presented in each city. If you travel for business, go to more than one of these events if you're going to be out on the road in November. We'd love to see you out there. I didn't really talk much about the Alumni Careers Network. I'll briefly mention it now. This is the networking system through our Alumni and Friends online community. I would say the biggest difference between this and LinkedIn is that you don't have to be connected with someone like you have to be through LinkedIn to see their professional information, and you can get some in-depth information about alumni and people's University of Chicago backgrounds than you would on LinkedIn. The network has some issues. I'm trying to actively improve it and work with our technology staff to improve it. Since we're running out of time, if you have input or thoughts about Careers Network, give them directly to me or send them directly to me by email. It's been a challenge keeping that system useful for alumni, but it is a useful system. If you go in and you access it and you can search on alumni, it is a useful system, and I've talked to many alumni who've benefited from using it. But I always want to hear ways that we can make it better, and we are actively working to improve it. And then there are some other networking solutions online that we're looking at. The Chicago Affinity Groups are going to be a growing networking resource for us. And I think they may be a way, the Affinity Groups specifically may be a way to engage alumni that might not otherwise engage with us, or that might have some expertise. You were mentioning, Chris, some older alumni, some alumni who are more, later in their careers. I think the Affinity Groups might be a good way to engage some of those alumni. And I think certain Affinity Groups can do some targeted events and programs to those alumni. And I think, I'm happy to talk more about that. And then, of course, for undergrads, we have CAPS hosts a number of Chicago Careers In programs, which, really by industry help engage students and prepare students for specific career paths. If you're looking for a way to volunteer and work with students, Chicago Careers In can be a great avenue towards that. You can go on the CAPS website through this link, or you can talk to Marta or anyone from CAPS here today. So sorry I rushed through some of that, I just wanted to mention it, but I think the value really was hearing from you, and I appreciate all of your participation, and don't hesitate to seek me out for comments or questions throughout the day. Thanks.